Hello everyone, welcome to today's session. My name is Karoki and I'm currently the acting head of people and culture at ALN Kenya. In my role, I drive the people agenda in our offices in Nairobi, Mombasa, Tanzania and Dubai. Today I'll be talking about mental health at the workplace. Welcome. In this session, we'll discuss the workplace stressors in a lot more detail. Let's talk about unrealistic deadlines. And when you're looking at deadlines, you need to understand the context. Why do you feel that the deadline that has been assigned to you is unrealistic? Could it be because of what you already have on your plate? Could it be that you feel that the person who is passing on this deadline has some leeway that they have not extended to you? Have you asked about it? Have you asked them for some consideration? Have you spent some time managing their expectations and explaining to them what else you have on your plate? And I know sometimes is not possible. You know, the person will just push an email to you and say, I need this by tomorrow, and you feel like you do not even have an avenue to have that discussion. But you should try, especially if you think you may end up disappointing them. It's easier to manage those expectations early on. I have also found one thing that helps me with those kind of deadlines is the relationships that I have invested in at the workplace. If I have worked with somebody and time and again I've been able to deliver as per their requests, should they reach out to me and give me a very short notice, then I feel I have already invested in a deposit and can have a negotiation to be reconsidered and to be given a bit more time to deliver on the assignment. But if I haven't, unfortunately, sometimes it just means that I'm going to have to, spend a couple of extra hours. It could be that helping that person meet that deadline could be the key to unlocking our relationship. But we need to be realistic about it. It cannot be that every time I'm working with a particular person, that every single thing they send my way is urgent. I need to take a step back and relook at the situation. Could it be that if this is a client, I need to spend a bit more time understanding my client? This will enable me anticipate their needs, and this ensures that I'm not caught off guard all the time. Or could it be maybe I'm just working with someone who needs a bit more organization, and unfortunately, and this I know happens a lot with people who are at junior levels, where you're probably working with someone, they have a lot on their plate, they probably forgot and missed out on something and have just sent this thing to your desk, and they want it and they want it here and now. If you're able to do it, do it. Focus on the now and the urgency of that request. Put in a bit extra and deliver. But if you realize that it's becoming a trend and it is affecting you at the workplace because you're constantly on the run, then look for an ideal opportunity and have a discussion with this person and focus on the issue. Explain, I appreciate that you have been involving me in a lot of your matters and I have learned a lot. I have realized that in 1, 2, 3 instances, I ran a bit late, but I spent some time. I missed my classes. I ensured I had delivered on this. But I just wanted to have a discussion with you and see if you could kindly, whenever possible, I appreciate that sometimes it's not always possible to, to give me a bit more time. But if there's ever an opportunity to consider this, then I'd really appreciate, because it would ensure that I'm able to spend a lot more time on the work you've given me, and I'm able to give you quality. But I know sometimes it's not possible to have those discussions, and this is where your performance manager comes in, especially if you feel aggrieved, if you feel that this is a never-ending issue and you're constantly receiving deadlines, which in your view, you have analyzed the context and you feel are unrealistic. You do need to talk to somebody who can either help you see a different perspective or who can help you reach out to the person you're working with, especially if you don't feel comfortable enough or have reached out to that person and nothing is happening. And I also want to urge performance managers, especially in instances where we are in departments that have a good number of senior people, it is always ideal whenever possible. It may not be 100% possible, but it's always ideal to clearly explain the context to the individual. And if you're going to give a short notice, just spend a minute or two explaining to them that, this is a last minute client request. And yeah, I wish I would have given you more time, but this time it's not possible. And it is even better when you have a relationship with that person as a performance manager, because sometimes you tell them, by the way, I'm looking at some things that are coming up in the next couple of days, and we shall need to burn the midnight oil, or we shall need to be here over the weekend. When you have cultivated that relationship, then you can communicate that, and your people are also free to ask questions, because it's not every time you're assigning a task that you're going to go into the details as to, sometimes you just, this is the request that I have, I just need my work done. But it does happen that if you have invested time in cultivating the relationships with either your seniors or your juniors, it becomes easy. This brings me to my next point, which is relationships at the workplace. And I'll tell you, from my experience, other than the workload and the nature of the work, relationships at the workplace to a large extent influence our mental health at the workplace. It could be relationships with our colleagues. It could be relationships with those who are more senior to us. It could be relationships with those who are more junior to us. You must spend some time in trying to cultivate relationships with those you work with, even if it's your colleagues. Sometimes, um, we know that we are all here to get the work done, and it's all about work. Let's focus on work. But it becomes more interesting, and it becomes a better place to work when you have cultivated those relationships. Spend time with the people you work with, even out of the work environment. Spend some time breaking the ice. It becomes much easier for you to work with them. And I know that we sometimes have that control when it's our peers or our colleagues, but sometimes it becomes a bit difficult when it's cultivating relationships with those who are more senior to us. I want to appeal to our our seniors and people who are in a position where they are managing someone's performance. You must invest some time, and you must open that door, because only until you open that door, and I don't mean physically, you must demonstrate by your words, by your actions, that you are open to cultivate that relationship with the individual to make it easier, because it's not easy for them. But also sometimes the way we build those relationships is by delivering as expected, and sometimes by going out of our way. For example, if someone is under pressure and they have reached out to you, given you a short deadline, and you went over and above, put in some hours and delivered, you sorted them out, then it becomes much easier for you to go and discuss something with them. So sometimes it also means going out of your way, being a bit more flexible to ensure you cultivate that relationship. And when you cultivate that relationship, you do also need to appreciate when that relationship is not going well. If, for example, there's a deliverable that you are to submit and you didn't, or you didn't do a good job on it because you didn't know, or you didn't have the time, or you didn't have the understanding, or something happened at the workplace between colleagues, and someone felt as if they were thrown under the bus, or something did not work in their favor, and they felt that their colleague or their senior had the leeway to ensure that this thing worked well. Sometimes we want to be very honest and admit that this relationship is not working, but you must be willing to do something about it, and do something about it quickly. Don't wait too long for a relationship that's not working, because it does happen that if your relationship with someone is not working, then sometimes even the small things and the small mistakes you make here and there could be blown out of proportion, and you don't want that. reach out to that person and have a discussion. If you are wrong, admit it. I have had instances where, something was asked of me. In that role, I should have known the answer, but I did not know. And this person, thought of me in one way or the other. And rightfully, it was my mistake. I should have known. I did not know, or I should have delivered as per the expectations. I did not. I put them in an awkward position. I was wrong. And I look for an opportunity in future to have a discussion with this person. And especially if that person is in a team you're working in, you must proactively seek to mend that relationship by either reaching out to them, and if you feel you can't reach out to them, look for someone who you can talk to. Look for a mentor, look for someone you're comfortable with, that you can discuss that situation. And again, on relationships at the workplace, it is so important to focus on what is within your control. Sometimes it's not within your control whether the other person opens the door for you to create that relationship or not. You could be willing, but that door is locked, by their words, by their action. Now, when you also think about the work, it could be an issue of a lack of career growth and development. And this is another workplace stressor. And it could also be an issue of lack of recognition. We feel we are putting in a lot of time and effort, but are not being appreciated for them. Now, thinking about the lack of career growth and development, we do need to evaluate why we feel our career is not growing. Is it that the expectations on us have not been set clearly? Is it that there's a skills gap that we need to upskill in a certain way to get to that next level? Or is it that our career ambitions changed along the way, and the role we are playing no longer looks like it's going to lead us to where we want to be? We must be able to have this kind of discussions both within ourselves and with the people we work with. I have had such a discussion when I felt that I was doing the same thing on, and I felt that I had the potential to do more. And good thing is that I had a good relationship with the person that I was working with, and I reached out to them and had a very open and honest discussion. And even though my answer was not immediate, at least I knew that they had my request in mind. They knew where I wanted to get and what I wanted to do. And when the opportunity presented itself, even though it took time, then they considered me for it, and they would consider me for it. But sometimes that opportunity does not exist. What do? We are at the workplace. We need this job. We need to pay our bills. We do need to be very open and honest with ourselves and decide, I know that this is where I want to get. I want to shift to this department. There is no opportunity within that department at this point. I'll keep doing what I'm doing until an opportunity arises. Or I sometimes, unfortunately or fortunately, I may need to look out, and we must get to a point where we are real and we don't allow these things to get to a point where they are causing us stress at the workplace. When it comes to relationships in the workplace, you must learn to focus on what is within your control. Most times you do not have control over the stimuli or what is causing strain in a relationship, but you have control over the reaction. But you'll only be able to do this if you have spent some time understanding the people you work with, be it your colleagues, be it your juniors, be it your seniors. You need to spend some time understanding, what are their preferences? What do they like and dislike? What are their triggers? I've had people tell me, I work with this person, and I have realized that on this particular day of the week, their mood is off. And so what I do is I ensure that I don't have some serious discussions on this particular day of the week. And what is that person doing? They are appreciating that the person who is a senior sometimes they have studied them. They have spent some time trying to understand them. They have spent some time engaging with them, and they appreciate that sometimes they are that way and there's nothing they can do about it. So they have learned to manage themselves. And you're only able to manage yourself when you study the people you work with and compare the similarities and the differences you have with them, and manage either yourself or your expectations accordingly. It is very important. There are always people at the workplace who will know somebody else better than you. Spend some time just trying to dig up a bit more about the people you work with. And I guess also when you spend time with someone you tend to understand them, you will save yourself a lot of mental stress when you know what to expect. And it does help when you're authentic as an individual. When you're clear on who you are, what your purpose is, what your values are, it means that you'll not get destabilized uh, too much by the actions of others, because at the end of the day, you know your true north. So, relationships, spend time building relationships, engage in matters out of the workplace that help you to build on those relationships. Is it CSR? Is it pro bono initiatives? Is it mentorship? It can help you unravel that person that you work with and you know you just don't understand them and you need to work with them. It can help you create that relationship with them and it makes working with them easier.